Hi everybody, it's another episode of Freaky Fridays. I do hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I will, however, let you guys know that in the process of making this video, I was having issues with audio. So the very first little portion of this video is going to be a voiceover, and then the rest of it is going to be voice. So yeah, just letting you know. Other than that and everything, I hope that you guys enjoy it, so let's go ahead and get this video started. So, at the very beginning of this video, I went ahead and already put in my contacts and already had my teeth enameled. Right now, I am putting on the bald cap, so I'm flipping the front end of the bald cap up to make sure that whenever I lay down the latex, that whenever I roll the front end of the latex forward, the latex bald cap forward, that it lays down smooth and not so wrinkly. The brush that I'm using is it's a regular art brush. I've had it for so many years now and just recently ruined it with latex, because once latex gets in your brush is done for. So basically I'm laying down latex around the perimeter. I would honestly say that doing bald caps for me are probably one of the most scariest things, and the reason why I say that is because there's so many opportunities for it to mess up. So just basically laying it down and then rubbing it with my fingers, making sure that it's adhered to the actual forehead and around the sides. And then next up, I'll be taking and showing you how to cut out the areas for your ears, which is also another scary process. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a cotton ball with some latex, and I'm kind of just going around the perimeter to kind of smooth that transition between bald cap and skin, as well as adding texture and making sure that it's adhered. So I'm cutting at an angle from the base of my ear to the top, but not all the way up to the top. You want your ear to be able to pop out from the bald cap. This right here process can be very intimidating because you don't want to cut your ear. But that right there basically was, for the first time ever applying bald caps, that right there was probably the most easiest. So I'm just putting down more latex around the perimeter to adhere it so that way it's more smooth and it stays in place. The back end of the ear, if you look at the very top end of my ear, that cut in the back has so much potential to just rip right up the side end of my head. And so the entire time I was freaking out about it ripping. So in the next portion, I'm going to show you how to glue down the back part. So I'm going to just put some latex behind my ear and forwards towards the front part. And then I'm just going to pull that front part forward and make sure it's flat as possible and then hold it down. You'll notice that there's a wrinkle on the back end of the head. And so here in a minute, I'm going to kind of show you how I got rid of that wrinkle and made the back end of the bald cap a little bit tighter in the back. And so it's kind of explanatory, but not so much. So what I did is I kind of cut it straight up the back end of the neck in the back and just folded the pieces on top of each other. And that was cutting off the extra off of the back end of the bald cap, because the back end of the bald cap is a lot bigger than the front end of the bald cap. So I'm just right now explaining with my hands on how I basically cut it up the center. I cut it up the center and then just folded the pieces on top of each other while latexing, putting latex down. So I'm gluing down my eyebrows. I'm not the best at gluing down eyebrows, I'll be honest. The reason why I say that is because for about 13 years of doing drag, I literally had no eyebrows. I would shave my eyebrows every single time I would get ready to do a show in a performance. And so I would always just shave them. I never really glued them down. So what I'm doing with that brush is I'm just kind of brushing them flat. Keep in mind that glue stick is old, sadly. That glue stick was old. So it was not laying down a thin sheet of glue that I wanted. But it still worked. And then of course the brush still had product in it. So it was the product was coming off and sticking into the glue, which was give an interesting eyebrow. And I also used a blow dryer to blow dry my eyebrow as well to make sure that it was completely dry. Okay, so next up, since my brows are already blonde, but since the base coat of this is permanently white, since the technically foundation of it is white, so I wanted to use like a clown white paste by Benign to kind of cover up my eyebrows a lot more, so that way they're not apparent, so that way you can't see them. So I just did that, and then I used a clown white super white powder by Benign as well, which is kind of like a setting powder basically, and just use that to set that. And of course, as you can tell, I'm blending out the edges because I don't want it to be apparent in the airbrushing portion of the video and everything. I don't want, any harsh lines like, oh, it's much whiter here versus there. I want it to be one cohesive color. Being OCD and trying to make sure that you have one just complete slate of color, to me, it is like, it's hard to do, but it's possible. So what I'm doing here with the cheekbone prosthetics is I am marking the outside, inside, basically the length and the width of the prosthetic on both sides, trying to get them as even as possible. That's also another portion of me being OCD as well, is I like to have each prosthetic even to each other. So that way it's kind of like a mirrored image. I don't know if anybody's ever done that in art class, but like whenever you take a dot and you put like a dot piece, on the piece of paper of paint, and then you fold it in half, you get an exact replica of that dot on the other side of the piece of paper. So that's basically what I'm trying to do, is do the butterfly effect. So I'm taking latex on a cotton swab and I'm laying down some latex even on top of the bald cap, starting at the back from the top and then smoothing it out around the edges. If I remember correctly, I took the cotton swab with some liquid latex and went around the perimeter as well to hold it and everything, so that way it kind of stays in place, so that way it doesn't move anywhere, and it also adds texture to it as well, so that way it's not just like flat liquid latex. So what I'm doing is I'm putting liquid latex on my nose to adhere the nose prosthetic, which honestly, after I did the nose prosthetic and the cheekbone prosthetics, after I did like the white makeup and stuff, I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I should have added like elf ears to this or something, and then like faded the tips with black or like red or something, because that's what I did with the nose. Is I did red. So I don't know, I just thought for some reason, I was like, oh, that would be so cool if I did elf ears, but I didn't, but you never know. So the airbrush portion of this, I will be honest with you, this right here scene is sped up about 8 plus 8 times more. So if you take 8 plus 8 and then add that together, that right there is how many times this right here portion is sped up. The airbrushing portion of this at its normal speed is probably a good 20 minutes long. So I had to condense that footage down a lot because airbrushing takes time because you're building your colors. I think the interesting thing about airbrush is that before I even knew how to airbrush, or even before I experienced what airbrushing was, it was difficult at first, but then once you kind of grab the concept, it's still kind of the same between regular makeup and prosthetic effects makeup. Is you're just basically building your colors, building your shades, and just kind of putting them together in a sense, and everything on top of each other. So with this, it's just pure white, and then the rest is all hands-on with eyeshadow and liquid makeup. So, and obviously I didn't airbrush the back of my head. And what I'm telling you right now in this scene, which is if you want to airbrush the back of your head for a Halloween party, or if you're going trick-or-treating, that would be a smart idea. So what I'm going to be using is like the dark purple and the Morphe palette with these two brushes. I'm going to be like blowing this out dramatically. Obviously, because it's Halloween and it's, I don't know, my version of a clown, I guess. So I'm just kind of like blowing it out all over the face. I will, however, say that these contacts, they're not difficult to see out of. You can't see out of your peripheral very well. During the process of making this, at one point, Jay came up next to me and she scared the Jesus out of me because I didn't see her coming up because I couldn't see out of my peripheral. And so basically she scared the thing that was trying to become something scary. So I started underneath the eye with a blue and everything, basically the kind of like the darkest blue that's in the Morphe 35B palette. And I just started that underneath and just kind of went down in a downwards triangle and then just went upwards in an upwards triangle. What I didn't realize was that the eyeshadow was going to stick dramatically to the glue stick that I used to glue down my eyebrows with. Did not realize that it was going to do that. I wish I would have known that it was going to do that, but it did it anyways. However, I prevailed, got through it, and blended it some way, somehow. The Halloween gods were in my favor. But anywho. And then I do believe that I went in like with a dark purple after that. Like the dark purple that I used was just kind of like to intensify the color. Not really to change it or add a color, but to kind of intensify it. And then I used a black eyeshadow as well. So yeah, right there I was showing you the purple that I was using, the dark purple and the Morphe 35B palette to intensify the blue. And then after that, I'm going to jump on over into painting the nose and then the lips, and then I go into doing some black. And if I remember correctly, I got some of the Mayron liquid paint in my eye, and let me tell you, that stuff burns, okay? The paint that I'm using on my nose is also by Mayron as well. It's a water-based paint, but it also has alcohol in it as well. So if you get it in your eye, it hurts a lot. And then I use a big brush with that purple eyeshadow, and I kind of just like fade it out to make it look kind of bruised and gruesome and stuff. Because that was kind of like a thing that I wanted to go for, was something that was like bruised looking. And then of course I put another coat of red on top to make it more intense. And for some reason, during the making of this, I also kept singing Red Nose the Reindeer as well for some reason, and I don't know why. I think it was because I was painting my nose red. Anyways, okay, so here comes the talking portion of the video. So, I'm sorry that the beginning of this video was a voiceover. I'm not typically known for doing voiceovers, so the pros and cons of being a YouTuber is that one of the most difficult parts about it is dealing with audio. And if you're a one-person show where you're doing the editing, the lighting, the focusing, all that, sometimes accidents happen. And in a video like this, when you're dealing with prosthetics and stuff, where you purchase typically one of each item, to go back and reverse time and redo it all over again, considering I've already been filming for up to almost an hour and a half already, it's heartbreaking. But anyways, we're gonna move on over into some detail work around the nose area. So I'm taking an angle brush with some black eyeshadow. We're gonna crinkle our nose, and we're gonna detail those lines in that area to kind of give it an angry look. Now to kind of like fade in those lines a little bit, I'm going to take a fluffy brush and kind of just fade in those lines. It looks so harsh. And it's also a technique of doing old age makeup too, is to kind of wrinkle your face and just kind of like etch in all those lines. Okay, so next up we're going to take and move on over into the eyes, and we're just going to go into some straight black color in the Morphe palette. And we're just going to start fading in that black color. I'm also going to be using a liquid base black too to get rid of those like harsh, weird lines right there. Here's just basically going to be a base coat black. Okay, so next up we're going to be taking this right here. This right here is also a liquid base and everything by Mayron, I do believe. This right here is a liquid black and everything water base. And so I'm going to basically dip a flat brush into some, pour out some on a dish. This right here is kind of thick and very watery. Oh boy, as a disclaimer, this right here paint, if you happen to get it in your eye, it burns a lot, and that's what I just did. So just as an FYI. Okay, so just applying that all the way up into the edge, and then I'm going to take that right there jumbo brush, and I'm just going to blot it out and fade. It's okay if this look afterwards looks really dirty. That's the point. This is Halloween after all. Okay, now let's go ahead and start moving on over into the lip area. The lips, I kind of want them to be sharp, but I also want them to be like very feathery too. Okay, so I like where that's going and everything, but I want to add some more color to the actual eye area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my long hair blending brush. I'm going to grab that same blue shade. I'm going to start fading more of that on the outside edges. Okay, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna grab a short-haired brush and I'm gonna go into a red. It's gonna be this right here, red color in the palette. I'm gonna feather this around the lips. Okay, so next up after that, I'm going to be taking and adding some more things and everything kind of like prosthetics to the face. Okay, so next up, I have like a bunch of little cutout circles and everything they can't really see. Okay, there, now you can see them. So there are a bunch of little cutout circles and everything that match the collar that you saw at the beginning of the video. And so these right here are little designs that Jay helped me cut out and everything for the collar that I handmade. So I'm going to be using some liquid latex, putting that on the back end of these, and I'm going to be adhering these all over the head for aesthetic. Okay, so I'm going to let those sit and I'm going to let those dry, and then I will be right back. Hey everybody, I am glad that you enjoyed today's video. So I want to go ahead and give you all a list of everything that I used in today's video. So the contacts that I'm wearing are from Solera Contacts. There is a 10% off coupon code on all of the contacts that I have worn in Freaky Fridays if that is something that you're interested in. I used the liquid latex. This right here is on Amazon. If you are allergic to latex, take and use Prozate or Spirit Gum. I am also wearing a bald cap. That right there is also on Amazon. I will list it down in the description. I am also wearing quite a few of Benign. I am wearing Benign's water paint. I'm also using the Mayron Tooth Effects makeup and everything. So this right here goes on your teeth, and you can paint your teeth to make them look like they're gone or disappeared, or you can make them look sharper, whatever that you want to do. The prosthetics that I'm wearing, there's about like maybe 2 or 3. So there's the nose prosthetic that I'm wearing and the cheek prosthetics. So those right there are from mostlydead.com. Those right there prosthetics have been used in most of the videos that are Freaky Fridays. They have a huge selection of prosthetics on there. I do not have a coupon code for them or anything like that. This video is not necessarily sponsored by any of the companies or anything that I've used in these videos. Most of these videos are actually sponsored by Patreon, and everybody that is on Patreon has helped me produce this series. So other than that and everything, I hope that you all enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!